Hello, this is a pre-recorded informational webinar of the Sweetened Beverage Tax Prenatal-to-Three Community Grant Request for Proposal, also known as an RFP, for 2025. Before we get started, it may be easier for you to follow along if you had the RFP document available as reference. The page reference will appear in the green box in the upper right corner. Note your questions as they arise and submit them to dealfunding@seattle.gov at the end of the session with the subject line Questions 2025 Prenatal to 3 Grant. In this information session, we will talk about the Sweetened Beverage Tax Fund overview, the Prenatal to 3 Community Grant RFP structure, how to apply to the RFP, the available help and supports for completing an application, and any next steps. On June 6th of 2017, the Seattle City Council passed an ordinance, a tax collected on the final distribution of sugar-sweetened beverages by a distributor. It was designed to improve the health of Seattle residents by reducing the sales and consumption of sugary drinks. The revenue generated by the tax is intended to fund programs that increase access to healthy food and support children's health and development. The ordinance also established the Sweetened Beverage Tax Community Advisory Board, also known as CAB, a group to advise and make recommendations to the mayor and the city council on initiatives supported by the beverage tax revenue. In June 2019, the CAB conducted a series of community engagement activities meant to capture the voices of residents. The focus of the engagement was programs and services related to food access, food insecurities, child development, and early learning. At the beginning of 2020, the CAB heard from Human Services Department, Department of Education and Early Learning, also known as DEEL, and the Office of Sustainability and Environment about the investments currently supported by SBT funds. The CAB recommended a public funding opportunity intended for community organizations that specialize in high-quality prenatal to 3 and kindergarten readiness services that seek to reduce the disparity in outcomes for children and families based on race, gender, or other socioeconomic factors. The City of Seattle currently funds through revenue from the SBT and the City General Fund programs in prenatal to 3, also known as PN3, including home visiting, developmental supports, child care health consultation, child care subsidies, and quality supports for child care. All of the current PN3 investments seek to address racial equity gaps and support families and caregivers. This fund program is intended to strengthen the city's work in prenatal to 3, with the core premise that the organizations that center community in their work are best positioned to understand the program and the interventions that will close the persistent opportunity gaps in Seattle. This funding opportunity is intended to be accessible, a low barrier to apply. The city has contracted with a community-based technical assistance provider to support proposal development, as well as providing language access supports as needed. The RFP is live as of August 11th. The question and answer period is from August 11th to September 2nd. We do not take individual calls or meetings. All questions and answers are posted on our website to the public. As a reminder, the deadline to submit the application with supporting documents is by 11:59 p.m. on Monday, September 8th. The prenatal to 3 investments will be focusing on 3 areas: healthy and equitable births, parental health and emotional well-being, and nurturing and responsive child-adult relationships. We will go into more detail later in the presentation. There is approximately $1.49 million available for this 2-year grant cycle. Applicants are eligible to apply for a maximum of $149,000 per year for a total of $298,000 over a 2-year grant cycle. Who is eligible to apply? Not-for-profit organizations with a 501c3 status or are fiscally sponsored by an organization. This also includes community-based or faith-based organizations. Community organizations or collaborations that are not incorporated as a nonprofit, such as community collaboratives, coalitions, or other affinity groups, must identify a fiscal sponsor that meet the requisite contracting requirements of the department. Tribes and tribal organizations. All applicants must provide services to participants that reside within the City of Seattle limits. What type of proposals are not eligible for funding? Proposals that provide quality supports or subsidies for licensed child care are not eligible. Proposals solely focused on supporting general operations of an organization are not eligible. Proposals that are without a central focus on prenatal-to-three are not eligible. Proposals focused on political lobbying are not eligible. Proposals that are already funded by other public dollars are not eligible. Proposals that are currently funded by DEEL for the 2024 to 2026 Prenatal-to-Three grants are not eligible. Applicant organizations with the following characteristics will be prioritized for funding. They are representative of and primarily serving priority communities. They are smaller organizations, either in budget and/or staff, and if they demonstrate authentic connection to the community they plan to serve. In terms of projects and funding prioritization, projects that demonstrate the following will be prioritized for funding. Proposals that are clearly outlined and support how the project will positively impact priority communities and meet the grant program outcomes. Proposals that address an unmet need in the community. And proposals that describe a strong connection between the proposed work and one or more of the grant's desired outcomes. Again, there are 3 main investment outcomes in this Prenatal-to-Three community grant RFP. Outcome 1 is healthy and equitable births. This means children are born healthy to healthy parents, and pregnancy experiences and birth outcomes during prenatal and postnatal time periods are equitable. Outcome 2 is parental health and emotional well-being, which means parents are mentally and physically healthy, with particular attention paid to the perinatal period. Outcome 3 is nurturing and responsive caregiving, which means children experience warm, nurturing, stimulating interactions with their parents and caregivers that promote healthy development. Just like last year's RFP submission process, DEEL will no longer be accepting email applications. DEEL has an online portal called Submittable, where you will verify your eligibility and submit the rest of the RFP applications if you are eligible. You can learn more at the website seattledeal.submittable.com. Questions can be sent to our funding email at dealfunding@seattle.gov. In the next few slides, I'll go over Submittable in a little bit more detail. In the next 4 slides, we will discuss the 3 main steps you need to follow to submit your application and cover some frequently asked questions. The application process is the same as 2024. All applications and forms must be uploaded to Submittable. We will not accept email submissions. There are 3 steps you need to follow to apply. We also have a video link in the slide if you want to see a demonstration. Step 1. Creating a Submittable account. You will most likely be a new user to Submittable and will need to create an account. It's quick and free. If you are an existing user on Submittable, simply sign in. Step 2. Fill out the application form. Click on the link in the box 2. It will take you to the online application form. Select the funding opportunity you want to apply for and click Submit. It will prompt you to sign in. Once you sign in, you will be able to see the application form for the funding opportunity you have selected. You will fill in the form and save it along the way. Only one user can access this form, so we have a Word version of the application form on our website, which you can use for internal collaboration. This will need to be transferred into Submittable. Step 3 is submitting the application. The Submittable portal automatically closes at the deadline. After you submit, expect to receive an email confirmation that you successfully submitted the application. Let's now discuss some frequently asked questions regarding Submittable. First is regarding creating a Submittable account. How do I access the online application form? As mentioned, if you are a new user, your organization will have to sign up for a Submittable account. You can view the application form for the funding opportunity you are applying for on this page. After you sign in with an email and password you are provided at sign-up. Who from my organization should sign up? We recommend you designate an individual to sign up for Submittable. This individual will also be the one submitting the online application. Why is this important? Because the email you will link to the Submittable account is the primary contact receiving updates on the organization's submission. How do I sign up? We added a link. You need to fill in an email, password, first and last name. Then you will need to verify the email entered. You will get an email request from notifications at email.submittable.com. What if you have questions about Submittable? If you have a Submittable account, you can check out the Submitter Resource Center. See the link on this slide. If your question is not answered, please contact both Submittable by opening a ticket with Submittable customer support and DEEL by emailing deelfunding@seattle.gov. Include questions about and Submittable in the subject line. Filling in the online application form. Can I save progress on the application form? Yes, you can. To save an application so it can be completed later, click the Save Draft button at the bottom of the application form. What if I forget to submit the draft application before the deadline? Unfortunately, any saved but unsubmitted drafts will not be considered. Once the deadline passes, access to the draft will be lost in Submittable. Please make sure you submit the drafts before the deadline. This is very important as any work not submitted by the deadline will be lost. How can my organization collaborate on the application form? Collaboration is not possible currently directly in the online application form. A Word version of the application is posted on the DEEL website page for your internal use and collaboration. The Word version will not be accepted as an official application. Any draft responses must be copied and pasted into the Submittable online application form and submitted prior to the application deadline. The only accepted applications is the online submittal application form. Submitting the application on submittable. What if I do not submit the application form before the deadline? Applications that are not submitted before the deadline will not be considered. To submit the application, click the Submit button at the bottom of the application form before the official deadline. The Submittable online portal will automatically close at the deadline and late applications will not be accepted. Again, all work that is not submitted before the deadline will be lost, so it is very important to submit it before the deadline. Congratulations, you submitted the application and you're wondering what's next? A confirmation email from notifications@email.submittable.com will be sent to the email provided during sign-up. This email is proof of your organization's submission. If for any reason you do not receive an email confirmation, email dealfunding@seattle.gov as soon as possible with question SPP Facilities Fund RFI in the subject line. How can I save a copy of the submitted application? You can download a PDF copy of your submitted application for your records by logging into your Submittable account. We added a link with step-by-step instructions on this slide. A quick overview of Submittable. It will take you through two stages. The first is the eligibility check. If your organization is deemed eligible, it will then take you to the application, where you will enter general organization information, implementing staff, proposal details, project narrative, budget submission template, and additional documentations, which all need to be uploaded into Submittable. Again, applications will only be accepted through Submittable. A copy of the RFP application questions for your internal organization collaboration is available on DEEL Funding webpage. Now let's dig into the RFP application itself. In this segment, I've dissected the RFP application section by section to provide guidance as to how these sections should be completed. Here is the organization information. The difference between a physical address and a mailing address is that the physical address is where you are geographically located, and the mailing address is where you get your mail. For some organizations, it may be the same. The next section asks about implementing staff, and the four terms are used to describe various roles within an organization. DEEL operations recognizes four primary in the context of contracts: program manager, contract signatory, invoice and billing contact, and fiscal sponsor. Listen to the descriptions carefully and use your best judgment on deciding who to put for each role. The program manager is the person who oversees the fulfillment of the contract deliverables. The contract signatory is usually the executive director or the person that is in charge of the organization as a whole, in contrast to the program manager, who is responsible for a portion of the organization's work. Invoice or billing contact is the person responsible for sending the invoice to the funders, like DEEL, for payment. Lastly is the fiscal sponsor, and if your organization is unincorporated, then you will need a fiscal sponsor. Fiscal sponsorship is a formal agreement that allows a project or organization that doesn't have its own 501c3 tax exemption status to receive grants and tax-deductible donations under the umbrella of an established nonprofit organization, also known as the fiscal sponsor. A fiscal sponsor is a nonprofit organization that provides fiduciary oversight, financial management, and other administrative services to help build the capacity of a nonprofit project, usually in exchange for a fee. Because we hope to see diversity in size of organizations that apply, it is very likely that in a small organization, it may be one person who fulfills all of these roles. Additionally, there There may be larger, more established organizations that have the organizational infrastructure to designate a different person to each of these four roles. Eligible entities may submit one proposal requesting a maximum of $149,000 per year for a total of $298,000 over 2 years. In the first box, you'll indicate the total amount of funding you are requesting for your proposal scope of work. Making a request for less funding will not have an effect of the attractiveness of your proposal. My advice is to ask for what you need, and if you need $149,000 a year to perform the work outlined in the proposal, that's what you should indicate here. The next details of the proposal are for insurance purposes. Please note that if your proposal has your agency working directly with children ages 0 to 17, you will need very specific insurance requirements. The next sections are priority population to be served, program service participant council district areas, number of staff employed, and approximate annual budget. This funding prioritizes smaller grassroots organizations. Therefore, having this information is helpful for our RFP review panel to determine if your organization is one for which this funding opportunity was intended. The next section covers project narratives, and it's utilized by the review panel to identify which proposals should be funded. In submittable, your responses are up to 500 words or less per question. There's a section to define your scope of work to talk about specific details for your proposed activities. An estimate to get a sense of services or program participant numbers is fine. Where and when services are provided as information for the contracting details. This RFP was created to be a low barrier funding opportunity for small grassroots hyper-local efforts to provide community-informed solutions for community and to identify challenges. With that in mind, the narrative questions are organized to help the panel understand more about your proposal and the connection to the communities served. Completing the budget template is a requirement of having a proposal reviewed. The budget template link is found inside of Submittable and links to the DEEL funding webpage for budget template. Please remember to complete the budget on the provided template and upload to Submittable before submitting your application. Please note there is additional information related to public disclosure requests for RFP submissions and required documents for contracting with the City of Seattle, such as business license, W-9, business liability insurance, and accounting procedures. They are listed on page 6 and 7 of your RFP overview. The submittable application will go over the additional requirements as well. If an organization is awarded funding, they will be required to submit the required documentation within a week of notification. Please note that if your organization or agency is working with children ages 0 to 17, then sexual abuse and molestation insurance coverage is required, and acquiring the additional insurance coverage may take time, so please do not wait until after the notification to start looking. If you do not have the required documents at the time of application, please explain what you are missing and how you will obtain the documents within a week of notification. Scoring criteria proposals are reviewed by a panel of DEEL partner agencies and community members. The review panel will score and rank proposals from highest to lowest based on criteria outlined in the RFP for connection to community, program proposal, and organizational information. Final funding decisions may also consider geographic considerations, diversity of focus areas, and programming activities and other department priorities. There are a few ways applicants obtain assistance in completing their proposals. First is through submittable help. This is for an account creation issue with submittable or problems logging in. The next way is by sending an email to the DEEL funding email address at deelfunding@seattle.gov. Some of the reasons you might opt for emails are for interpreting the text of the RFP or questions about the RFP. For questions about the RFP, the responses are provided only through the DEEL Funding Opportunities webpage within 3 business days. The third avenue of support is technical assistance from a contracted consultant to assist you with the proposal itself. This TA support is provided at no cost to your organization. Let's dive deeper into these options. For submittable help, you can go to the website at www.submittable.com/help/submitter. You can go here if you need any help with account setup or help logging in. If you need general technical support for using Submittable, you could email the Submittable technical support email address, and please copy deelfunding@seattle.gov as well. Sending an email to deelfunding@seattle.gov can be used for interpreting the text in the RFP technical overview. For any questions about eligibility or questions about the RFP, please know that when you ask a question to deelfunding@seattle.gov, responses to these questions will be provided through the DEEL Funding Opportunities webpage within 3 business days. When sending your emails, please make sure to put the subject line Question 2025 Prenatal-to-Three Grant RFP. Prenatal-to-Three grant technical assistant consultants can support in determining your organization's suitability for this funding opportunity. They can assist with understanding how to respond to the prompts and short answer portion. They can also help conceptualize proposed services based on applicants' previous experience. TA consultants can also help in your planning and completion of the required budget template and much more. Our consultant for this year is Hassan Wadair. You may reach out to him at hassan@bullconsulting.com. Here are a few proposal reminders. Applications must be submitted in Submittable by Monday, September 8th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. No late applications will be accepted after this date and time. Application sections must be filled out with complete information and a complete budget template uploaded. Please review the timeline and key dates for the availability for technical assistance and the last day to submit questions. Scoring and deliberation happens through September, with award notifications sent no later than the end of October. As we wrap up this info session, here are a few key takeaways. Proposals must be submitted via Submittable on or before Monday, September 8th by 11:59 p.m. If you have questions about the RFP and don't want to reach out to the technical assistant provider, you're welcome to email deelfunding@seattle.gov with the subject line Question 2025 Prenatal-to-Three Grant RFP. We respond to those questions within 3 business days posted on DEEL's Funding Opportunity website. Please know that technical assistant providers is also available to support your work, and their email address is available on DEEL's Funding Opportunity webpage and in this info session posted on our website. I want to acknowledge that there are dozens of organizations in and around the city of Seattle that are deeply connected to their communities, whose missions is to support birthing bodies, infants, and toddlers. I want to express my profound gratitude for the work you do. You are making a difference, changing the world one person at a time. Thank you.